Alrighty, I think we are live. Let me go ahead and check the feed. If you have any audio or video issues, please let me know ASAP, and I will get on top of that by complaining loudly because I'm no good at computers, just like President Trump. Alright, I think we're good to go. My name is Nick. This is Board Game Brawl. You may remember me as the man who served under your father in the Clone Wars, and we are here for our weekly Q&A. This is where you ask me questions, I give you answers in the most awkward way possible. You can ask me about anything, board games related or not, tabletop gaming related or not. I will do my best to answer unless I really don't want to, and I'll usually let you know that. Give me one moment, folks. I have a technical issue that has nothing to do with the stream, which makes this incredibly unprofessional. But what else is new? It is New Year's Eve. It is not terribly exciting around these parts. I was actually hoping that we would have some cool weather down here, and we did, and now it's gone. And it's bright and sunny outside, which is awful. I really hate the sun, much like the pasty white vampire that I am. And nevertheless, I still like the holiday season. And this is the last time I get to wear this shirt, even though it's not even Christmas anymore. Let's take a look here. And there we go. You know what that's about. Marvel Future Fight, come on. But yes, I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas season and a great holiday weekend so far. It is New Year's Eve, so I don't want to keep you from your plans too much, but thank you for spending some time with me. Sound off if you're doing anything fun and interesting, and I will say it out loud and we'll make fun of you. As far as the channel goes, I mentioned this on Facebook. If you guys follow me over there, Facebook is usually where you can find out things first about news for the channel, if there is any relevant news to report. I'm trying just to get rid of all this end of year, beginning of year stuff, which means you're going to see a lot of top 10 lists over the next few days. I'm going to try to finish off my top 100 list up to tomorrow night, and then Monday I'm going to work on, since I have the day off, I'm going to work on the top 10 games of the year for 2016, the top 10 anticipated games, if I can find that many, for 2017, and top 5 expansions of 2016, which means the channel is going to look really weird. But hopefully once that's all done, nothing but reviews for the foreseeable future, and of course I have to do some previews. But other than that, I think should be sorry, I was looking at something else. Other than that, should be interesting. You'll have a lot of content on the channel. Alrighty, so let's go ahead, and I think a couple of questions have popped up. Alright, so let's take a look. Well, this isn't a question, but it's a funny statement. Hi, I have enjoyed your episodes. The episodes of your top 100, you exploit the BGG users' comments better than last year. Now, that's a dirty word right there. I wouldn't say that. But yes, that's what's happening. Exploiting the BGG users' comments. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that. See, the thing is, I was trying to point out... So, I look, it's all in good fun. And that's mainly what I wanted to get across was... that it's fun to have a second opinion, especially, and that's why I would specifically go for stuff that I thought was funny, comments that I thought was funny. But on the other hand, I also wanted to make some statements, I guess, this year, which I wasn't really trying to be too highfalutin about it. But I do think it's funny that, as I mentioned in my introductory video, the BGG user rankings are held up in very high regard. And I know a lot of people who, if a user ranking goes below a certain point, they ain't buying that game. It's just not happening. And to some degree, even I do that. I'm way more willing to buy a game that's got a bad rating if it's something I'm genuinely interested in. But I know there are people who are like, nope. Same way that people will take one reviewer's comments or video or blog or whatever it might be, or full-out written review, and say, oh, you don't like it? I'm not doing it. I trust your opinion. That's it. Done. Totally done. And that's up to you. But with the user ratings, what I wanted to point out was that so many people rate things for either totally ridiculous reasons, in my opinion, or reasons that are not ridiculous. It's perfectly valid for them, but it's totally not applicable to most of the board gaming population. Which raises a very valid argument, which is, should those people be rating a game based on their own particular experience? And I don't know what the right answer is to that, but I do know that when people are just protest voting to spite other people, to spite publishers, which, by the way, I have done that a couple times in the past. I retracted them because I didn't want to be part of the problem. But it's an easy thing. It's an easy pitfall to fall into. I mean, you can even bring up the whole thing with, and this was maybe before a lot of people's times. It was before my time on Board Game Geek, but I know the stories when Games Workshop started getting very litigious with their properties, which I think they've always been, but they asked everyone on Board Game Geek who had any kind of fan-made content for any of their games. Space Hulk, I think, was the biggest one for that, but I mean Blood Bowl and a lot of those other types of games, Warhammer Quest, the original. When that was proliferating, Games Workshop made BGG. They issued a cease and desist and said, you got to take it all down. And the BGG user base went fucking apeshit. They started, they pounded every single game associated with Games Workshop officially with 1 ratings. Now, was that right or wrong? That's a rating for the game, right? I don't know. You can see it from both ways. But I think that's kind of what I've been trying to point out this year. And hopefully it was at least illuminating for you. Hello, have you played Dead of Winter, either the Long Night or the original, and which do you think is better? I have. You can watch reviews for both of those on my channel. The original Dead of Winter review is way too long, but I'm still happy with the thoughts and how I put them out there. It is one of my favorite games. I really, really enjoy it. I'm not going to say where it shakes out on this year's top 100 list, but I think it's a safe bet to say that it's going to be in the top 40 of the games that I have left. It's a very good game. Now, The Long Night is another story. In my opinion, if you don't already have the original Dead of Winter, then you should just get the Dead of Winter Long Night because it actually adds stuff into it. It's essentially a soft reboot, if you want to use movie terms, of Dead of Winter, but it adds more stuff. You have little mini expansions, like a building expansion. What's the name? It's got an official name. The one where you go into the laboratory that's been creating the monsters, and there's also a bandits expansion. And the characters, a lot of them are just analogs of they're different characters, but they're analogs of the original characters, so you might as well just go with the newer version, which is The Long Night. Having said that, if you already have Dead of Winter, my opinion was, you probably are fine with that, because even the best part of the new game that is new was the building expansion, and it's not all that. I think the original Dead of Winter still stands up pretty well, so me as a reviewer, I got both versions. I don't think most people need to. Do you know anything of Legions? Yeah, it's a show coming on Fox soon. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's by the same publisher, Flip Flops, of Heart of Crown, and it appears to be another battle-style trading card game. I only know that Eric Martin showed a picture of it on his blog post. That's all I know about it. I didn't have an inside tip on Tokyo Game Market this year like I had last year, so I don't have a copy myself. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know if it's actually released. It might have just been announced or demoed. Do you got big plans to wipe the taste of 2016 out of your mouth? Well, it's a Saturday, so we're just gaming anyways, so I guess we're going to drink as well. But other than that, it's just my normal Saturday gaming, which I'm totally fine with. I have some end-of-year games I really want to get knocked out before I make my top 10 of 2016 list, so that there's not any notable omissions, like that, so that I don't play them the first week of January, and I'm like, ah! And if I can't get enough of them done, I might hold off on the top 10 of 2016 list. I don't really care. Does it really matter if I put it out? I mean, I just want to be done with it, but I'm not really in a rush to do it. Oh, let's see. That answers your question, Jan. When playing Blood Rage and you place the troll in a province, he kills all warriors. Do I get glory? Is it considered a battle? You know, it's been a while since I played Blood Rage. I don't feel qualified enough to answer that question and give you misinformation. So it sounds like it's not a battle, though. It sounds like, is that the special ability of the troll? You should definitely go on Board Game Geek and ask that. Go to Board Game Geek Blood Rage forums and first do a search and make sure it hasn't been answered already by somebody else. Just search troll in the Blood Rage forums in the question and answer section. And if it hasn't been answered, make a post and put very clearly in the title what your post is about. I'm trying to give entice people to do proper BGG etiquette. What is the proper pronunciation of... Okay, I'm going to give it my best shot. This is an expansion for Kingdom Death Monster. I think it's Spidicules. Because that's just how I say it in my head. I rarely have to say that word out loud. That might be the first time, as a matter of fact. Well, I probably said it on some other Q&A or something like that. Or during my unboxing. But let's see. How else would you say it? Spidicules? And that's one way. But you would say spider. That's a pretty common English way to say it. Spider, Spider-Man. You've heard of Spider-Man, right? So yeah, I think it would be spider. And then you would say either cules. I say cules, but I guess it could be culés. Spidicules. Yes, let's go with that. It's like the fancy way of saying GIF. Jife. Considering solo Eldritch for tonight. That's I did that for Christmas of last year. It was either last year or the year before. I have very distinct memories of playing the new, I think it was whenever Mountains of Madness expansion came out for Eldritch Horror. I have very distinct memories of either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day playing solo Eldritch Horror with the expansion while watching Die Hard. I don't know what year that was, but I have very distinct memories of it. Any excitement for Doom? Ever play the old version? Well, I have Doom sitting right here, the new one. Sadly, I've had the old version for maybe 3 years and never played it. And now I feel like I need to rush and do the new one. I kind of wanted to do a comparison, but now, once I play the new one, I'm like, is there any reason to go back and play the old one? Especially if I don't like the new one? I don't know. We'll see. So which way are you leaning towards on Kingdom Death Monster, the 777 pledge or the lower one? I'm probably just going to get the lower one because I only need the upgrade. Top of your head, top 3 games of 2016 in no particular order. Janice, I would love to answer that, but I think it's probably better to have at least a little bit of anticipation for my top 10 of the year. So we'll go ahead and hold off on that. But you will see that, I'm thinking, within the next few days. Unless, again, I don't manage to finish enough of these games and play enough of them. Is a Gambler's Chest, this is a Kingdom Death Monster reference again. It's funny because people ask me these kind of questions all the time. If you're not familiar with the Kingdom Death Monster reprint Kickstarter and you see these terms, you're going to be like, what are they talking about? But there's a Gambler's Chest pledge, and Mark is asking, is it worth a punt for someone who is otherwise just buying the base game? Well, so the Gambler's Chest, it's interesting because it's mostly, there's a lot of like story figures. Everything seems to have game content. From what I can tell. Some of them might be promotional figures. But nothing like earth-shattering. It depends. I really have to give Poots credit on one thing. I've complained. I like the campaign overall, but I've had some complaints. I'm not going to go into them, but one thing I'll give him major credit for is that I think he saw that a lot of people were getting very angsty and anxious about the pledge levels and like, oh, what do I get? I want to get everything. My budget's not really there. What do I do? And he basically made a post with right at the top with one of his updates and said, look, I'm going insane during this. I think I talked about this last week. I'm going insane during this Kickstarter and giving you and unlocking tons of stuff and losing sleep over this, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean you need to go insane. Get whatever's right for you. Don't freak out about it. And that's what I've been telling people. And I think that you just need to look at what's exclusive and what's not. And if it's not exclusive, don't worry about it right now. And I don't think much of the Gambler's Chest stuff is, but maybe I'm wrong on that. That's why I'm probably just going to get the upgrade pack, which is the most important thing for me to upgrade the game that I already have. And the thing I'll get the soonest. But if you like the narrative sculptures in the Gambler's Chest, if it looks really cool to you, you'll have it before anyone else. I mean, that's the major thing, but who knows when that's going to be. Agreed with the BGG ranks being way too subjective. Protest voting, don't even waste my time. Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. Although, I suppose it's also a slippery slope, because then you start saying, well, I find a protest, and by the way, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I'm on board with you. But let's say, for instance, you're a person who says, protest votes are stupid, I have no interest in that, it doesn't influence my opinion of the game whatsoever. But then you might have your own personal criteria about game elements, so then you're just like, oh, well, you think that the theme of the game is offensive to you. Well, I completely dismiss your review as well. Well, but you might have made another good point about something else. and just rated one for the theme, but maybe has some other valid points. But that's why I think that it's a protest vote, and voting for silly reasons is dangerous for people, because they may have fantastic points that get buried. I don't know. I have to walk a very cautious line here. I do the BGG rankings for my top 100, but I don't do it at all through the rest of the year, because the one thing I don't want to do is like harp on it too much, because I love BGG. I have complaints about it, I think, like everyone does, and same way tons of people have complaints about me. And it's important to give feedback and hope that it's taken in the spirit that it's given in. And I try to have fun with the BGG user rankings, but I also don't want to make people think like, well, if this asshole is going to criticize me, maybe I just won't do it. When absolutely, I love the fact that people are getting so involved in the community. And I think when you compare BGG user ratings to, say, the ratings on IMDb or Rotten Tomato user rankings, not the critics, the user rankings, or especially Metacritic, which is just a shit show, they are the best, I mean, on the internet, because there's a lot of people making very valid points. As I've been searching for comments for the games I selected from my list, I see people write 3 or 4 paragraphs of very cogent and important points about a game. It just isn't very interesting to read on my top 100. Have you played Seafall? I'm 4 games into a campaign and can see why reviewers like the Dice Tower, I assume that is, and Shut Up and Shit Down, I assume that is, stops playing midway. Yeah, it's really interesting. I played a couple of games, and it's been sitting on my pile of games right here that are the immediate to be played pile for a month or so. I have had very little desire to... I've had the desire to go back, but it is such a long game, and it requires a very specific group of people that I played it with originally, that I've been very hesitant to bring it out again or to even try. And yeah, I suppose that's something that's part and parcel with a legacy game. But then again, I think if it was a game that was the equivalent weight of Risk Legacy or even Pandemic Legacy, I'd have gotten it played more. So it's a tough one. I'm not ready to say what I fully think about it yet, because I just haven't experienced enough of the game. Bane brings up a good point. The shitty will fall. User ratings are worthless to me no matter the medium. I have no idea of these people's tastes or biases. Well, that's a perfectly valid point, because you would say, well, why would you take the reviewer's opinion? Well, you know them if they've been around for a while. It's one of the reasons I do the top 100 is because people can look at my top 100 and say, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, or this guy's a fucking moron. And then you know. But when just some random user from the internet posts their rating, you don't know where it's coming from. So it's valid, but that's why an aggregate is helpful. I don't know. It's definitely one of the first world problems of the internet that I find fascinating. Seafall ended up in the clearance bin? Well, I don't know. Your question is, I never had a chance to play it, but what caused Seafall to end up in the clearance bin? Well, it's like I said, I think it's a very tough game to crack. It's not that it's like a very confusing game or anything. We played our games and it was very straightforward, but it's like you need a very specific audience. You need a very specific group of people who are willing to play it over and over. They have to like the game. I mean, you may not like Risk, but Risk Legacy was so fast and easy to pick up and go that I played it with people. I played through Risk, like, I think I played on 3 different boards, essentially, of Risk with 3 different groups of people. And with those people, we played with people who just legitimately said, I don't like Risk. I'm going to keep going with this, though, because it's kind of fun to see stuff pop open. And games are like 40 minutes long or less if someone goes crazy and makes a run for it. Seafall is not going to be like that. In fact, that's the antithesis of what Seafall is. Unless something drastically changes, in another 6 games. And that is inscrutable to a lot of people, and I don't blame them. Even if I do a final review of Seafall and end up saying I loved it, I know at that point I will still say, I love this game, and I will only recommend it for a very small group of people. And there's other games like that. Have you talked about the new Eldritch Horror expansion? I don't have it, so I haven't talked about it. But I'm mildly excited for it. There's been so many of them now that I don't get as excited about them, just like when the Legendary expansion comes out, but I'm interested. How fiddly to build are the minis in the base Kingdom Death Monster for a novice? Very. They are high-level miniatures, and what that means is there's a lot of articulation is not the right word, but there's a lot of joints. There's a lot of small, little, tiny pieces. Some are more difficult than others. I think the starting survivors are very easy, but when you start going into like the monsters and stuff, forget about it. Especially the expansions. Just being honest. Okay. Whoa, YouTube. Calm down. I lost a lot. You could be like Rado and do the top 10 of 2016 in December and then reviews it again in April. Maybe. Well, what I do... I like to look at I just like to do a quick year-end perspective. So what I do on iterative lists, which are lists I do every year, whether it's top 10 of the different conventions, Gen Con and Essen, top 10 of the year, what's the other one? Or like top 10 deck building. I will say, okay, well, what did I pick last year and where are they now? And I just do it that way. But yeah, but that's a good idea too. You know. Well, okay, Charles, I can't parse that statement because I don't even... Take your time and type. Have you played Unicornus Nights yet? No. I wanted to get that done last week and we ran out of time because our game of freaking the new Legendary Encounters expansion went way longer than it should have. It was fun, but it was like a 3-hour game. No way. But that is one of the games I really want to get played tonight. Here's what I want to get really played tonight. New Angeles, Doom, Unicornus Nights, and Arkham Horror, the card game. Not Arkham Horror, the board game. I've been my campaign to find all copies of that and burn them is going very well. Okay, I'm exaggerating. I don't dislike the game that much, but I don't like it. Mechs vs. Minions thoughts? Have you played? You haven't been watching my top 100, have you? Shame on you. I'm just going to block you right now. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but go and watch. It is on my top 100. It's already been revealed. Nick, do you think that Trump is so you can tell I like it. Nick, do you think that Trump is a monster on purpose, or do you think he believes that he is doing right by the country? Neither. I think that he's a very self-centered, self-aggrandizing, egotistical businessman who wants to do what's best for him and I guess maybe his family. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that too. And that's the most important thing to him. And in his mind, he believes that what's best for him is best for the country, which is patently false. And on the face of it, what is best for a billionaire? No, I don't think he's a billionaire. What is best for a thousandaire businessman, when you count his debt, what's best for a thousandaire businessman is not best for the majority of the country. It's good for the 1% of the country. Now, having said that, to the first part of your question, do I think he's a monster on purpose? That I don't think that is even in his context. I think that he is an old, stereotypical old white businessman who has always talked a certain way around people, has been indoctrinated by right-wing conservative radio hosts and bloggers and things. And I think he's like the average call-in person you hear on a Sean Hannity or a Rush Limbaugh show, who has also happens to be a millionaire with political influence. And I don't think that they're evil. I don't think that they intentionally mean harm. They just don't care about people who disagree with them and who see things from a different way and have a different life perspective. Now, it might sound like I'm being very generous to Trump. That doesn't excuse, but that doesn't excuse that behavior. It just means that it's not malicious intent. It's gross negligence. However, I do think that the people behind Trump have very, very deterministic, they're very purposeful, and they are malicious in what they are doing, and they are going to be the real power in this administration. He's just the front man who gets his base riled up. The people that he has chosen for his cabinet, like Bannon and Sessions and all these other people, they have an agenda and a plan, and I think there is, to some degree, evil intent with much of them. That is the problem. And then Josh says, do you think Sean is a communist? Yeah. Can we get an updated top 10 t-shirts? Well, that was an April Fool's joke, so yes. I have another April Fool's joke in mind for this year, and it's a ways off. I'm hesitating on it because I'm afraid people would take it in more of a vicious spirit than I would intend it. We'll see when we get to that point. Nick, funny story about the, I'm saying Spidicules thing. Apparently, Poots habitually spells ridiculous as ridicules. So Spidicules technically should be pronounced Spidiculous. Not that there is a right or a wrong way, I think you mean to say. Well, that's very funny. For those of you who don't know and don't keep up, and I don't blame you, Adam Poots, the designer, publisher, and spokesman, essentially, of Kingdom Death Monster, he's everything for Kingdom Death Monster. He routinely has incredibly poor grammar and spelling, and does not care. Like, if you read, like, you would think, like, his updates for Kingdom Death, this huge multi-million-dollar project that he has put together, that people are hanging on his every word and waiting desperately for his updates, you would think that he would put a little extra time and effort to make sure they're grammatically correct or the spelling is right. Nope. In fact, his posts are often pictures. Like, there's a ton of text explaining the game, but he puts them in picture format and just post it. So that you can have like one long cohesive thing. Bad spelling there too. So he took the time to make a picture. Spelling is still bad. And it's so much so that it was a joke from the first campaign that whenever someone refers to backers, it flips the K and the C. So anytime you see a K and the C flipped, it's actually probably on purpose, because even the backers themselves started using it that way as sort of an ode to the designer. I'm not anal retentive about that kind of stuff too much, because when I make spelling mistakes and people in the audience call me out for it, I get like, because it feels to me like you've just ignored every single other thing that I've said. But I do find it amusing, and if that's true with the Spidiculous, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and I love it. Having said that, I still think Spidicules that's the way to go. Have you ever thought of switching your career? You don't seem to really enjoy your current job. The problem is, I'm not going back to school, and there's only so much I'm like very qualified to do. I don't want to become I'm not really living paycheck to paycheck. I'm living every third paycheck to every third paycheck. But if I was to become like an internet writer or just to do this for a living, I think I'd be living paycheck to paycheck, and I don't really want to live that way again. So, I don't know. And also, like, I don't, like, love my job, but it's okay. I like the people that I work with, and it's a good environment, and it seems to be safe and secure. I've said that in the past and been horribly wrong, so I'll cross my fingers futilely. But, yeah, it's a tough thing. I don't think a lot of people love their job, but some people are okay with their job, and maybe that's where I'm at right now. Have you played Aeon's End yet? No. I've got so much else. I would say that's in the near future. I would hope to get that done for the new year, but nah. What's your 2017 resolution for your channel? I have not answered it already, David. I just want to get out more reviews. It's just been very difficult for me with my time issues and just exhaustion in general. I just want to get out more reviews for you guys. I feel bad about it. I'm going to do like a lost reviews video sometime in the next week or so that covers some games that I missed from last year that I no longer have, which gives you some idea of what I think about them. But nevertheless, I think it's important to talk about it. So yeah, that's my resolution for the channel. I don't have grand ambitions for the channel anymore, which might sound bad to you, but you know, it is what it is. I like coming here and talking to you guys. I like putting out my comments and my opinions. I like just being an internet reviewer, and I think it's a lot of fun for me. And so I'll probably fuck around with some new types of segments like the Lost Reviews video. But other than that, it is what it is. Maybe if I come into a little bit of money in the next year somehow, some way, I'll get like new equipment, but I'm not terribly worried about it. Kill, marry, fuck. First off, no one says it that way. It's fuck, marry, kill. Sorry, I'm not nitpicking. I just noticed that. But fuck, marry, kill. 2015, 2016, and 2017. Well, okay. Let's see. First off, do you mean like in general or board gaming related? Board gaming related, I would marry 2015. Oh wait, 2017 you're including. Huh. Yeah, I would marry 2015. I would kill 2016, and I would fuck 2017. Now, I'd fuck 2017 in the anticipation that better games will come out in that year. Like if I, get a little charm, work my romantic mojo, if I really perform well, maybe 2017 will supply me with better games. Quid pro quo. One hand washes the other or fucks the other. As far as marry, I think 2015 was a very good year for games because that was Time Stories, Pandemic Legacy. I think there was a lot of good stuff that year, so that's a good one to marry. And then I'm killing 2016 because I think it was not a very good year for board gaming in general. Now, if you don't care, if it's not games, I think I'd still go with that because 2016 was a terrible year for the world as a whole. I don't even mean just dead celebrities. 2015 did seem to be at least a little bit better because I think the recovery was felt most here in the U.S. And, 2017 is going to suck, though. That's for sure. But again, maybe sweet talk it. Maybe it won't be so bad. If in the future the channel could support you financially, would you leave your job to do Board Game Brawl full-time? Well, sure. I mean, of course. I enjoy doing this. I mean, I have been exhausted, and there's been a lot of frustration with people's responses to the channel and things like that, but I wouldn't do this if I didn't like it. That's the thing. If it was purely a matter of convenience for me, I would have dropped the channel a long time ago because it's incredibly inconvenient. But I love talking to you guys and girls. I love just, being in the community and getting my opinion out there and having people use it as information. And so that's what keeps it going. So if I was able to do that full time and relieve a lot of the other stress in my life, then yeah, sure. But, that's pie in the sky. Hey, Nick, I bought Zaya Legends of Blah Blah. Do you have any potential like solo game? I'm sorry, Nicholas, I don't understand your question necessarily, but Zaya was it's Legends of a Drift System. That's what the name is. I had to think about that for a moment too. But I think what you're asking is, do I have a way to play it solo? Is there a potential to play it solo? I am almost positive, without even knowing for sure. I'm just going to take a very hypothetical guess and say someone on Board Game Geek has come up with that. I have not played it that way. You can't play it that way out of the box, technically, with the rules. In fact, you can't even play a two-player game out of the box without doing a variant. And that I know does exist on Board Game Geek. With the expansion coming out soon, which he ran on Kickstarter, the publisher, there might be some of that. I don't know. But check on Board Game Geek. I sound like a broken record when I'm saying that, but I'm telling you, for these games, people just the information's out there somewhere. But I love Zaya. It's a great game. Hi, thank you for your live show today. What is your favorite filler game for tonight? What's the worst one? Let's just talk about tonight because I don't want to spoil anything for the list. But let's see. What would I like to play that's filler tonight? I have a couple of new people showing up. Well, one or two. I have one sort of new person. So I might play... What haven't I played in a while? Hanabi's always good. I love Hanabi. That's really a hit with my group. And I'd call that a filler game because you could play it very quickly and it's very easy to explain. It could go a little bit longer than your typical filler, but I still like it for that. The Game works really well for that too, although people aren't as enthused about that. I like it. It's just I like the number crunchy aspect of it. Joking Hazard has become a really big. That's been on the list already. It's a Cards Against Humanity type game. People don't like that. That's fine. I think it is one of the most creative versions of that system. More creative than the original Apples to Apples. More creative than Cards Against Humanity, which is why it's much higher on my list. And people can get behind. And even though there's offensive stuff in it, it doesn't seem as bad coming from cartoon characters. There is perhaps no better game thematically to ring in 2017 than Doom. It reminds me of one of my, possibly my favorite webcomic is Poorly Drawn Lines, and there's one comic that, it's a very, sort of ironic, not over the top type strip. You'll know when you read it. And one of them was like, the guy's just looking at his cat, and there's like, the cat saying Doom again. It's just a cat pointing like this. It's fun. Look it up. It's funnier if you read it. Happy New Year, Nick. Happy New Year to you, Nathaniel. We played Attack on Titan, the deck building game, and loved it. I know you'll recommend against it, but are there elements of other Cerberus games that might be interesting to integrate? I wouldn't recommend against it. I wouldn't say that people need to feel they have to do it, but if you love the game and you're willing to do it, go for it. What would be interesting? I thought that some of the cards in that game were just terrible. I mean, from a usefulness standpoint. Especially some of the equipment. But then again, some of the equipment and stuff is tailor-made to that system and what you need to do in the game to win. But I would say definitely look into finding out what cards are just useless for you, and then integrating some other stuff. Because there's definitely got to be better, more powerful cards from other sets. Also, I would say find stuff that's at least thematic. Don't put heat vision in it. Unless you really are going for some weird story that you guys concoct. That might be interesting. Like Avengers versus the Attack on Titans. The Titans. Which happened. It was a free comic book day thing. Try listening to the band Big Moon if you have not. It's good music. Why does that sound familiar? I wouldn't be surprised if I already have. I always listen to this indie playlist of stuff. I'll have to check that out. Thank you. I'm always looking for music recommendations. There's a whole world of music out there, but I'm very finicky about music, and I like what I like. I can't be pinned down to a genre. I made a note. I used to see my fucking laptop. Oh, it's terrible. I have so many stickies. Hold on a second. They're all piled up, so you can't even tell how many there are. But okay, those are passwords for something. I can't show you that. Okay, here. It'll probably not show up on screen anyways, but I make little notes for myself. Where are you? Yeah, anyways, that's all the stickies that I have. It's crazy. Now someone will pause that. I don't think there was anything there. I had a list of things to do, recommendation. Alright. Okay. So, let's see. But yeah, I'll check that out, Craig. Let's see. Where would you rank this year compared to the previous 2 years in games? 2015 was really hard to beat, in my opinion. Yeah, I just talked about that briefly in someone else's fuck, marry, kill question. Yes, 2015 was amazing. I thought this year was kind of weak. But then again, I haven't played every game, so what do I know? There are some unclear rules in Unicornus Nights. I'd check BGG before playing. My first game, we didn't have the enemy bosses bring troops with them when they moved, which made it easier. That sounds like it definitely would make it easier. Yeah, I'll check that out. And that wouldn't be surprising. I read through the rule book for Unicornus Nights, or most of it anyways, and it's got some translation issues. So some things might just get lost in the wash on that. Are we getting a new Tonto expansion soon? It doesn't seem like it. I'm a little sad on that too, because there is a standalone Tonto Quarry game that I don't think it can be integrated back to the base game, but it's a Moto Tonto Quarry, which is hard to say. Moto Tonto Quarry, which is like the game buying the maids, but like a whole different setup and things. And I talk to Japanime Games sometimes because they supply me with review copies for some of their games, and I asked them about it, and they said they had no plans. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I think it's fine because they haven't announced it. And so I'm a little bit disappointed in that, and I don't know of any other expansions. Like, I don't even think in Japan they have another expansion for Tonto Quarry. I don't know that it necessarily needs one, but then again, if you want to call Tonto Quarry a Dominion clone, Dominion's had like 10. Elder Tour expansion is scheduled to be released in about a week. It's a big box expansion. I need that much. Are you likely to review? Your earlier expansion reviews have been comprehensive and excellent. Oh, sure. Absolutely. Just have to get a copy of it. So as soon as I do, it'll be one of the top things that I prioritize. I'm sure some other reviewer will beat me to it, so if you want to take a look, you can find that information first, but I will definitely review it. So far, I've been mostly pleased with the big box expansions. I think we've had 3, if I'm not mistaken. You had Mountains of Madness. You had Under the Pyramids. Oh, maybe there's only been 2 then. Yeah, maybe there's only been 2 big boxes. This will be the 3rd. I like Mountains of Madness a lot. Under the Pyramids had some systems I didn't like, and I don't think I liked one of the 2 great old ones. But watch my review, because I don't remember. I don't remember what I said. But but as far as like plethora of content, you really can't beat them. I would always recommend getting one of the big boxes before going for the smaller ones, because I think the big boxes also give you new investigators, and not every small expansion does. Trump as a monster and Kingdom Death Monster. You're not even asking me a question, you're just making a statement. I'm assuming AEG is going to work on the Unicorn Knights rules a bit before it comes out, hopefully. Well, yeah, and I also hope they don't change the artwork. I know some people don't like anime-style artwork, but I also think the solution is not to replace it with very generic fantasy artwork, which is what they did for Lost Legacy. Why do you think Secret Hitler hasn't received much love from the board game reviewers? It's a fantastic social deduction game. David, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and there's 2 reasons for that. Number one, it's not from the same designers, but it was released and distributed by the and the Kickstarter was run by the Cards Against Humanity team, and Max Temkin was sort of the puppet master behind the whole thing. And the Cards Against Humanity game and team is persona non grata with a huge swath of the hardcore board gaming public. Someone's buying it because it is like the number 1 game or toy in game on Board Game Geek with all of its expansions, and tons and tons, millions of people play it and love it. But in our hardcore board gaming community, tons of people hate it and hate the team and won't even acknowledge them. That includes the Dice Tower and their many, many, many followers, and lots of other people in the community as well who just shit talk the game all the time. And by the way, fine, more power to you. You don't have to like a game. I don't really particularly care about it. But then you get into a gray area where it's like, well, if you don't like a particular game a company puts out, if you don't even like their message or what they're all about, politically as well, because they were anti-Trump supporters as a company buying billboards and things, then is it okay to completely ignore other products in their line that have nothing to do with those other things? I don't know. I have had personal issues with publishers and said I'm not bothering with any of their games, and it hasn't really affected me very much because most of their games look terrible. But I do have some moral qualms about it. Like, well, I'm still a reviewer. Should I just force myself to do it? The John Q gaming public doesn't have to concern themselves with things like that. They can buy a game for whatever reason. But should reviewers ignore Secret Hitler just because it comes from the Cards Against Humanity team in some way, shape, or form? I don't know. That's a tough one. But I will say as well that just whether it's Cards Against Humanity team or not, it's also Secret Hitler. And maybe some people want to avoid that. And also there's a lot of misinformation, like, I can't believe people would endorse a game where you get to play as Hitler. Look, when I posted my Secret Hitler, either the review or the unboxing, I had people saying, shit posting about, like, I'm endorsing, I don't know, Hitler, I guess? It's absurd. So I think people want to avoid that, but it's a shame because I still stand by my statement, which is that in fact, having played it more since then, I still believe the Secret Hitler is better than the Resistance. I really do. I know I know that Secret Hitler wouldn't exist without the Resistance. It was based off it clearly. It is a better and refined version of it. So it's a shame. Any major predictions in 2017? I think that the lack of top-tier amazing games from this past year will continue and get worse in 2017. I hate to be a pessimist about it, but that's how I feel right now. I also predict because it was just not really it's an easy prediction because it's a prediction based off of results we've already seen that that more and more games are going to be coming out and given an overwhelming amount of I don't know, how do I say this? I think that the tangled web of board gaming publishers together with reviewers and bloggers and media outlets is going to become more tangled and more entrenched, and I think that you're going to see a less and less negative press about the behavior of publishers and the bad games that they put out. I just feel that that's the direction things are headed because it's getting worse and not better. Because I think that board gaming publishers now know what's up as a whole. Smart publishers have already known that you can get good positive coverage out of reviewers very, very easily. And now it's going to get more pronounced as everyone knows how to game the system. It's a very, I know I'm being very cagey with that, but it's just a thing I've noticed. I'm looking for a link for Heart of Crown paste-ups. I bought it. I do believe you emailed me about this. I didn't get back to you. Just go on Board Game Geek, because that's where they were. Now, it's in the files section of the Heart of Crown game. And for some of the expansions have paste-ups, some of them don't. Now, if you can't find it there, it is possible they were taken down at the request of Japan Anime Games, who is putting out their own official English version of the game very soon. So I don't know. Why does Fantasy Flight Games hate my wallet and demand to keep it empty? Capitalism! That's why. So shut up and buy it. Check out Three Wishes and Insider as fillers. Okay. Did you watch the tabletop episode of Cards Against Humanity? I did not. I'm not a fan of tabletop at all. I've watched maybe 2 other episodes, and that wasn't one of them, and I was not a fan. Well, okay, so now you're saying that BGG definitely doesn't have the Heart of Crown paste-ups. It's possible they were taken down at the request of the publisher. In fact, the person who did the paste-ups, who is an avid Board Game Geek user and someone who is very involved in the community and posting about Japanese games, I can't remember his name right now. I think his username is Zimeon with a Z. He actually worked. He wasn't just a fan doing it, or maybe he was, but he actually worked for like Japan Brand, who helped with like the distribution of that game in Japan into the Tokyo game market. And he works for some of those other publishers too, doing translations in English. He's actually from Germany, I think. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think this is how it is. And I can easily see a scenario where Japan Anime Games gets the official rights to the game. They probably even work with Zimeon to use his translations. I think his real name is Simon, and says, okay, look, we're putting in our own official English version of the game. Can you please take down those files because we want people to buy the English version? I don't know. I'm speculating, but I can easily see that as being the case. No, I lost questions again. Hold on. Upper Deck announced at Gen Con that they would release a Legendary app. It sounds like it won't be Marvel, though. Thoughts? How much does the Marvel IP factor into your enjoyment of Legendary? It factors into it quite a bit, actually, especially since I have recently been getting into Marvel Future Fight, which reminds me I need to get a mission going. Much of Marvel Future Fight is just automatic mission running. But yeah, I really... That's maybe the major reason why I prefer Marvel Legendary over the other Encounters Legendary games, because I appreciate the theme so much more, and I just think it's a more straightforward game, and there's so much content for it. So if you say there's going to be an Upper Deck Legendary app that is not Marvel, I'm way less enthusiastic. But I like the Encounters games a lot too, so if it's one of those, that'd be cool. Maybe it'll be something new. I actually like the idea of them taking one particular theme and making it exclusive to the app to make it distinct and different and to give people a reason to keep playing the physical games. We'll see. Let's see. I keep missing my place. That's mostly my fault, actually. Innis, Komet, or Cyclades? What is your favorite? Komet by a mile. OMG, it didn't even occur to me that AEG would change the Unicornus Knights art. That's frightening. That's a huge part of the appeal for me. Oh, I think the odds are better. Like, if I had to wager on what they would do, I would say they would change it. I'm surprised they would even keep the name, to be honest. I could easily see them changing not only the art, but changing the name to, like, Battle Knights or something. I was very unhappy with what they've done with previous iterations of Japanese games. But to their credit, in other games, they've put out original editions. Like, they put out the original edition of Love Letter with the Seiji Kanai artwork. Not that he did the art, but you know what I mean. I hope I'm wrong on that, though. I hope I get some sort of message from an AEG rep, although they wouldn't, that says, no, we're keeping the art. If you could have your own miniature / character, which game would you choose? I don't want that in any game. So having said that, if I had to choose, of course I'd choose my favorite game, which as of last year was Kingdom Death Monster. If I had to come up with something else, I mean, if it doesn't have to be a miniature, my own legendaries, a card set, I don't know. But I was over that very quickly. I had a few people I did previews for do that in the early days, and I just, like, I felt weird afterwards. Oh, look at that! And then Oda comes to the rescue. AEG stated that they are keeping the original Unicornus Knights artwork. They might be tweaking some of the graphic design icons and such. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Oda. How many Kingdom Death Monster t-shirts do you own? 2. The one that came with my pledge level for the original game, which is terrible. I wear it because it's a Kingdom Death shirt, but it looks like an amorphous gray blob on my shirt. It's supposed to be, if you look closely enough, and you probably, even in real life, it's hard to tell, especially through a camera. It's supposed to be like someone holding a lantern up and like someone at their feet, like crouched down or laying down, like injured. But it just looks like an amorphous abstract artwork. The new one is much better, which is in honor of the Kingdom Death Monster reprint Kickstarter. You can still buy that on their website. And I like that one a lot, although the t-shirt itself is very low quality. 2017 prediction, Asmodee will buy more companies. I think you're betting even odds there. I mean, you're going to make just your money back. That's probably going to happen. And I don't care, really. I mean, I do care, because I do think that over a long period of time, that's going to mean a degradation of quality and pricing in the upper direction. But I think it's something that we have no control over, and it's going to happen. Charles, I'm not even going to say that, because I have no idea if the veracity of that statement, but I still find it amusing. Apples to Apples is vastly superior to Cards Against Humanity. Well, I will disagree with you in Decision 101. It's vastly superior if you have a family-friendly audience that you need to play that type of game with. If you don't, then if you're okay, then I think the variety and, yes, there's a lot of dirty, nasty cards, but there's also a lot of really clever cards in Cards Against Humanity. But that is purely subjective. They're essentially the same game. Did you get a review copy of Orcs Must Die? I suggested you get a review, and so did others. I did not. So maybe they didn't send them out yet, or I didn't get one. But either way, Charles, if I don't get one, I appreciate you putting forth my name like that, and other people as well. I do appreciate it, but if I don't get one, nothing to be upset about. Any thoughts on the Space Hulk reprint selling out so quickly? No, I didn't know that I wouldn't have guessed that it would, but I guess that since Games Workshop has been pushing their board gaming line much more strongly in the past couple of years, perhaps, and it's been a couple of years since the Space Hulk reprint came out. Maybe people were just chomping at the bits for it. That's interesting. Maybe the Upper Deck Legendary app will just replace the art on the Firefly Encounter set. Hashtag keep on dreaming. That would be amazing too. I maintain what I said in my review of the Firefly Legendary Encounters game, which is that the game itself is actually really good and actually does some things better than the other Encounters games. Like, I like the side missions aspect. They have a special name for it, I forget. But I like the ship. The ship is great. Like, I would want to see that integrated into, like, the aliens, where you can, like, upgrade the Nostromo. It wouldn't make any sense because it didn't happen in the movie, but it's fine. Or even if somehow if you did a fully cooperative version of Legendary Marvel and you can upgrade Shield HQ, the Shield Helicarrier. I mean, that's a great aspect. I love that you can buy upgrades for something during the course of the game and help each other out. And earn money for doing the jobs and the missions. It would make it feel like you're accomplishing something as you go from objective to objective, if it makes sense for the story, and obviously it did for Firefly. So yeah, if they can fix some of the issues with Firefly, which is the artwork, also the artwork on the cards, then I think you'd have a hit on your hands. Which is a shame too, because for me, I don't care. I mean, I care because I want my game to look good in general, but I don't care about Firefly at all. Go ahead, sling your arrows at me. But I don't like the show. I've had at least 2 girlfriends try to get me into that show, and that's why we broke up. No, I'm just kidding. But it was definitely a thing. Like, my geeky girlfriends said, "You gotta like Firefly." No, I'm not against it. I just don't like it. And so I don't have an attachment to it. But the people I played Firefly, the Encounters game with, who did have a strong attachment to the show, were even more put off because of the artwork. Like, it killed them for it. Like, that doesn't even look like the character with the thing. The guy with the hair. I don't know their names. So I'm really disappointed for those people on their behalf. Because put yourself in your shoes. Let's say, like, what's a property I really love? Let's say that Cryptozoic did their Attack on Titan deck building game, didn't use still shots from the show. It's hard to say. And instead made new artwork, commissioned new artwork, and it was awful. Like, no one looks the way they did in the show. Mikasa looked like a man or something, you know? Their faces were like amorphous blobs. Like the picture of Jesus that cleaning lady fixed. Look that up online. It's really funny. I think about that every time I think about Firefly Encounters. If that happened to me, I'd be pissed. So I understand. Did you get the new edition of Blood Bowl? No. Completely passed on that. I thought about it for a moment, and that's the only one of the new... Maybe that and one other game, the mech one, that I did not buy from a Games Workshop. Because I just don't care enough. I know you can play potentially with more players, I think, but I never play 2-player games that often, at least not really deep 2-player games. I usually 2-player games I tend to play now are quick things while we're waiting for other people, or at the end of a night when it's just me and someone else. So I didn't want to do... So I'm not interested in that as far as the gameplay goes. I don't care about sports in general. I know it's Blood Bowl, and I know I liked Chaos Ball, but Chaos Ball was very much more easily played multiplayer and had a better theme to me. I don't care about the Warhammer Fantasy races that much. So I had the brief thought of, like, it's new, it's important to the board gaming landscape, I should get it to review it. And I think what ultimately was the final nail in the coffin for me not getting it was I have to build it. And I don't want to do that right now. I'm too busy as it is. Nick, all the current Kingdom Death Monsters as add-ons, or just a few? Which ones? There's no way I can answer that for you. I think that if you... So, I don't know where you're coming from on this. If you're brand new to the game, don't worry about anything that's not exclusive. And I don't think much is exclusive in this campaign. Just get the base game. It's too much of an investment. You need to make sure that you actually like it. Not to mention the fact that you may get the base game before the Pledge Manager shuts down for the rest of the stuff. I don't know about that, but maybe. Okay, don't quote me on that, but it seems plausible. I would say don't worry about it. You can always get the expansions later. If you absolutely want to get some stuff now because you think it's just a good deal or you just want to do it right now, then you want to go for things that's going to get you the most amount of content. It's not as important for you to get a few like narrative figures as it is to get like one expansion set that has like tons of monsters, like not tons of monsters, but like a brand new monster, maybe more another Nemesis monster, lots of new cards and equipment and gear and armor kits and that type of stuff. So in that regard, like if you're talking about the ones from the previous one that they're reprinting, I would say Sunstalker, Dragon King, Gorm is a really good one to get. The Flower Knight, the Dung Beetle Knight, those are all good sets to get. Um, Again, you don't have to get them all. You'll get one or two that's going to give you a decent amount of content to add to the base game, which is already overflowing with content. And of the new stuff, I can't really judge it. And, I haven't played all the current expansions I have, but I can at least see, and I've read through them and stuff like that. And they've been out for a while. I know the general pulse of the community on it. Isn't it great that we have a community when this game used to be like the redheaded stepchild of Board Game Geek? But of the new stuff, it's just people are conflicted. No one knows. There's a lot of people who love the Frog Dog, a lot of people who hate it. I'm in the middle. I love that there's more content, but I hate the way the sculpt looks and the narrative behind it. I'm really interested in the reverse mountain stuff. Oh, it looks so cool. So that stuff, and it looks like it's a huge part of a new campaign. A new way to play the People of the Mountain campaign looks new in and of itself. But again, it's so subjective, and you shouldn't go crazy with it. Just buy the base game and see if you like the stuff, or if you insist, just get like 1 or 2 expansions that offer a lot of content. Don't go crazy. I like your Gotham City Siren shirt. What's that? I just know that this has Catwoman and Poison Ivy. Yeah, that was a comic book, right? I don't know. I've been out of it for a while, but I like those 2 characters. Nick, are you still watching The Flash? What do you think of the Arrowverse crossover? We're almost out of time. We are out of time. That's all right. I'll answer a few more. I still watch The Flash. It has gone downhill steadily since the first season, and I'm very sad about that. And sometimes there's flashes of brilliance, no pun intended, and then it just goes back to being bad again for a couple episodes. So I don't know what to think about it. Barry has gone from being a very lovable goof to kind of an unlikable whiner. But I still have hope that they can pull the show around, because Arrow was amazing for the first 2 seasons, and its 3rd season was awful, and its 4th season was, it's okay. But this season is amazing. It's really been good. So I think there's always hope. When I've had the opportunity to play Firefly Encounters, I look at the art and choose to play something else. Yeah, see? There you go. I don't know about this. Vassal said, Fantasy Flight Games, this is Tom Vassal, didn't send him a review copy of New Angeles. What can we discern from that? Lack of confidence in the game? Or are they just cheap and figure that Dice Tower would give it a good review anyway? It could be none of the above. It could be, we forgot. It could be, our schedule, we're going up right to the wire of major release at this point, and so we don't even have time, which seems silly, but whatever. It could be Asmodee owns Fantasy Flight Games now, and their distribution system of review copies to people is completely different. It could be whatever. It just could be a lot of things, and I'm not going to speculate on that. But as far as like the thing that you said, like lack of confidence in the game, I thought the game has been getting really good reviews. I purposely don't read I don't read the details on reviews before I review a game and play it, because I don't want to be like tainted by other people's biases and things, which I can be susceptible to. I just kind of can know like, oh, this is getting a lot of good buzz. So I don't know. Maybe they were surprised by that, but I don't think that the problem was they weren't confident in it. So we'll see how it goes. And why would Fantasy Flight Games worry? People, if it's got a bunch of, if it's a highly produced game, people are going to buy it. I don't know. But I suppose there's something to be said for the fact that if they weren't totally confident in a game, they would be hesitant to send it to the #1 board game reviewer. Me. No. To Tom Vassal, of course. But I still think that in some cases, even bad press is better than no press at all. And I think that the game's been doing well enough. So, okay, Dreadbeard. I swear this is the last thing I'm going to answer. Please, could you let us know why you feel Seven Wonders Dual Pantheon makes the game worse? Thanks. Because I thought that and I wasn't, but know this before I say anything else. I wasn't a big fan of Seven Wonders Duel to begin with, so I'm going to be much harsher and more critical on any other new things that are added to the game. My hope was that Seven Wonders Duel Pantheon would sort of massage some of the parts of the game I didn't like instead of kind of added to it. I felt that, and by the way, I might still do a full review of it, I don't know. I felt that it was just adding on another system of rich gets richer, because if you get a really great card at a cheap rate from the Pantheon section, you're going to do extremely well. Like, you're going to do really, really well. Even more so than you were before, which I think was a problem with the game. That if you, depending on the timing of when cards are revealed in the like pyramid structure or whatever of cards that you buy in the game, you could lock people out of getting what they need, and just by pure luck of the cards that get flipped over when it's your turn to buy something. So I just felt like it didn't add enough to the game that would change my mind on it, and I just thought it added some like onerous stuff that just wasn't necessary, because some of the simplicity and beauty of the original, because even though I didn't like it very much, I could say, oh, this is a well-designed game, and that simplicity and beauty of the original Seven Wonders Duel was that it was so simple. And I think, like, I don't know if that was totally necessary with the expansion, but that's all. Don't take my word for it. That game is, like, in the top 10 on Board Game Geek now, so what the fuck do I know? All right, that's enough cursing for me. I cursed a lot today. I didn't mean to. Someone asked me a fuck, marry, kill question, so what am I going to do? But anyways, I'm getting a lot of Happy New Year messages, and to every single one of you out there, I also wish you a happy and healthy new year. For some of us, it's going to be a fantastic new year right off the bat, and probably for the duration. For some of us, we're very worried about it. We don't know what's going to happen. 2016 kind of sucked, and we're afraid that it's just going to leak over into 2017 as well. But what I say is that you should always greet every new day with hope and optimism. I think that that's the best way to live your life, and even though that's easier said than done, I think our planet and our country get better from year to year. It doesn't seem like that, but I think in the overall scope of things, we are better off now than we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, and we just have some stumbling blocks, no matter what you think is a stumbling block from your personal perspective. And so with that regard and in that spirit, I say Happy New Year to everyone, happy holidays to everyone, and have a fantastic time. And please be safe tonight. Just have a good time and forget all the drama and don't do anything stupid and reckless. As Tony Stark would say, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and don't do anything I would do. Find the gray area in between and live there. Have a good one. Take care, and thank you. Oh yeah, thank you for everything, for all of your support throughout the year. I'll say this more in my top 10 of the year, but thank you.